Hello, and welcome to round 2 of the Parenting Roundabout podcast. I'm Terry Morrow, and I'm here with Catherine Holeko.
Hello.
Usually on this podcast, we talk about parenting issues, but once a week, Catherine and I like to get together to discuss TV, movies, books, and other entertainment topics because it's nice to talk about something other than parenting for a change. This week, we're continuing with our watch of the second season of Veronica Mars with the episode Driver Ed, where the case of the week and the case of the season were kind of the same case.
Mm-hmm.
But first, let's talk about World of Dance, another show we're catching up on late, both because it's been on a few seasons without us, and because we'll always be talking about the previous week's episode and not the one that airs tonight. We're just your little recap before the next ep show is what we're doing here. So we watched the World of Dance, season 4, episode 4, Qualifiers. It was the last round of qualifiers, even though it looked at the end like they were going to start with callbacks, but fake.
It sure did. I kept checking the time. Like, are they going to do this
starting
now?
this with like hardly any time left, but psych. So this was somewhat less happy than the previous episodes, didn't you think? It seemed like they didn't really like anybody, even though I liked a few of them quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think my favorite of the episode was those kids that they just sort of dismissed as nothing.
Yeah, the kids that had come previously in 2 separate groups, and then they joined up, and
they were just all sorts of adorable in their little suspenders, and I thought their dancing was quite fun to watch. I really enjoyed it. And then they were like, well, I don't think you're committed to each other because you used to be 2 groups, so go away. Grow up a little more.
Yeah.
Is there an audience vote?
That was too
floored
bad
by that. And they had the guys who were doing like the before them, I think, on the episode were the guys who did the geometric formations with their arms.
Right.
Which were cool. But after they got their unanimous yes, my daughter said, but they weren't really dancing. And it's like, well, I mean, if you interpret dancing as using your body in creative ways, they were. But that's an example of a group I would like to say, call back because I want to see what else you got.
Right.
But they were like, no, go.
I thought that was cool, but I thought it was a little bit boring. Like, I just thought, I don't know if you could watch 3 or 4 numbers of this.
It's like, what do you do other stuff?
Right.
I mean, there was that group of women, I think, in one of the first 3 episodes that did lots of arm stuff. And that was super cool. And that looked great. And they did it in all sorts of different dancey formations and activities, I thought, much more than this one. And I mean, I liked these guys. I was rooting for them. I was happy they got in because they had a great backstory, which I hate when they give the backstories and you get invested in them.
The plumber, the electrician.
Yeah. And I mean, didn't look like super young dudes. So this was a deal. I mean, I think that they might be one of these groups that are big on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of weird, the juxtaposition of those 2 things. And then, I thought the ballet dancer was beautiful. And they were like, well, but you're not crying and bleeding on the floor. So how can you be contemporary?
Yeah.
And then they had the kid that was kind of crying and bleeding on the floor. And they're like, well, we're not sure you do enough different things. So it's, I am not, as I've said, disclaimer, not a trained dancer, not even a trained observer of dance. I know nothing. Just as a stupid American consumer watching television. I had issues.
Yeah. Yeah, this one was harder to watch than the first 3.
They seemed grouchy.
They did.
Did like J-Lo not get her morning coffee or something? Or what? They were just all kind of dismissive. Yeah. And why would you save all of the people there? I mean, I can't believe they're necessarily doing this in sequence. Surely they're doing this over a number of days and then they're grouping them together for episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we have an episodes of, nah?
Right.
It's like, it's so unsatisfying.
Yeah, and they said there's only 10 callbacks, so we must have seen all of them.
I think we did. I feel like we saw more than 10 callbacks.
Yeah, I actually feel like that too. So
I don't know. They did one of those little montages where they brought people in and they didn't show much of their dance.
Mm-hmm.
And then they did show, I knew there was that group of girls in like pastel-y costumes.
Right, that they kept showing.
They kept showing them in the waiting room. And I said, well, surely we're going to get their entire dance. And we did. And it was kind of, well, that one, I guess I kind of agreed with the judges that the choreography was not great.
Mm-hmm.
They were adorable and, energetic, and I wished them well, but what they didn't seem that special.
Right.
But they got a call back. The kids who I thought were full of energy and fantastic, no.
Right.
So, see, boys, you have to, pastel. Pastel's where it's at.
Right.
Your white shirts and red suspenders. There was one girl in that group. It wasn't just guys, but.
Yeah, and she was crying at the end. So, which brings us back to our So You Think You Can Dance Junior, or Dance with the Stars Junior. Like, try not to show crying children, please.
Absolutely. And I didn't, in previous episodes, I think we said last time we talked about it, that the judges seemed to find a way to say no in a way that was encouraging. I didn't feel that this week. Mm-hmm. Even with the kids, I didn't feel like it. I felt like it was just very nitpicky and arbitrary.
Yeah.
So, judges, we would like you to do a callback. We would like to see if you can do better in terms of compassion and,
constructive criticism.
Finding a good way to send people out, especially children.
Yes.
Do not make the children cry. Speaking of So You Think You Can Dance, I don't know if things will have changed by the time we release this, but as of today, it looks like it's been canceled, possibly.
Oh.
At least there will not be a season 17 this year.
Okay.
Kristyn Burtt had a post about it. Apparently, Nigel Lithgow put out an email saying it's been canceled.
Mm.
And other sources are saying they'll consider it again in 2021. But Nigel seems to feel it's done. So we're going to have to cling to World of Dance here for our non-two-person ballroom needs. Dancing with the Stars is coming back.
Yes, I saw.
At an undisclosed time with a bachelorette.
That's what I saw, that this person from the Bachelor franchise was coming on. But that was it. Like, no other cast members, no timing, nothing.
No date. Well, I think they have to figure out how they're going to make TV with people being 6 feet apart.
Right.
It's going to be a little tough for the ballroom dancing, but we're going to It's like they need to get if they have Kareem on again with Lindsay, that maybe 6 feet apart there.
There you go.
But we need to get lots of super tall basketball stars and their shortest ballroom dancers. Will be good. Yeah, so that's at least going to be around again, but So You Think You Can Dance. It's hard to imagine how they could have done that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised they don't have huge disclaimers on World of Dance saying, we filmed this before, it's okay.
Yes.
Because there are clearly no constraints are being followed here.
Oh, no.
So most shows, even podcasts, it's like, you'll notice that this podcast does not include current events. It's because we recorded it 2 months ago. But this TV show just seems to be going on there saying, people will figure it out. It's fine.
Which we have, and we will.
Yes, we are assuming the best.
Maybe they're giving us more credit.
I still would think that they would want to put something up there every week saying, filmed and the dates.
Right.
Don't worry.
But maybe they don't want to emphasize, how long ago it actually...
Well,
because it had to have been, January or earlier.
Because assuming that this took a space of time to do, maybe not. Maybe they just do it over the course of a month or something.
Right.
So the thing is, I'm never clear on So You Think You Can Dance how long it takes.
Right. But they have live shows on there.
That's true. Yeah. I do like the warehouse they're filming in.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with, I think it was J-Lo was saying she wants to stay there. I don't know if they go someplace else for the finals, but I like watching people dance in that big space.
Some big stage, I guess they do.
Yeah. Well, shall we pirouette on over to Veronica Mars?
Less cheery and smiley. Although I cheered for Wallace when he struck out on his own and solved his own case.
Good for him. Yes. There was something I read somewhere about the fact that in season 1 of Veronica Mars, Kristen Bell was in every single scene. And for the second season, there was some negotiation or something that she could get a little time off. Mm-hmm. So I've been thinking we're going to see things that do not involve her, and maybe this was one of those things.
Yeah.
That Wallace got his own little case to solve so that they could have several scenes in which she could go take a nap or something.
Right.
So I'm going to be keeping my eye out for that.
Right.
But if this is the way they're going to do it, Wallace Junior Detective, then I'm all for it. That was great. I wish it hadn't been in the service of romancing such an unpleasant chick, but,
right.
You know.
He seems to be cracking her hard exterior.
I guess so. Did you recognize her father as the guy that was the baseball player from the previous episode?
Nope. And
they mentioned that on the Veronica Mars Investigations podcast.
There were a couple things on the Veronica Mars Investigations podcast that were revealed to me that I didn't pick up on in the episode.
Yes.
That was
very useful for them to mention that, because it's like, oh yeah, well, I've seen that guy.
And then that one, and the fact that Wallace picked up on the reporter's notebook as a clue.
That I did get, but my husband didn't get, because afterwards he said, well, what was the point of that whole thing in the convenience store?
Right.
That I got, that he recognized the shape of the paper from the windshield.
Right. And then the other thing that I didn't connect was they said that the dead body that washed up on the beach at the very end, Veronica had interacted with that person at the shrine for the bus crash victims.
Yeah, I remember her interacting with some guy.
Me too,
but I did not realize that's who was on the beach.
Yeah.
So that was a useful bit of information from the new streamlined Veronica Mars Investigations podcast. Only going to talk about 5 plot points. Snappy, get it through.
It did not feel all that different to me, but it was shorter.
It felt significantly shorter, but still extremely enjoyable and informative. So, whatever y'all want to do. But it was always interesting to me that the Veronica Mars Investigations podcast about an episode was generally considerably longer than the episode.
Than the episode itself, yes.
As ours sometimes start to be. There's been a few times. No. So, yeah, I liked the part of Wallace being the detective. The basic case, I'm just, that anything that's coming up about this bus crash thing is just all red herrings.
Right, it's way too early for anything to be.
I'll go on record as saying I think Keith running for sheriff is a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
Just take your book advance, man. Keep up your detective work. Nothing good can come of being involved in Neptune politics. Absolutely nothing.
Even with Steve Guttenberg.
And you know what? I'm gonna claim my territory here. I'm gonna go way out on the limb. I'm cocky from having figured out who done it season 1. I'm gonna double down on if you have an actor with too big a name to be playing a bit part in your teen drama, that's gonna be the bad guy. Mm-hmm. Steve Guttenberg had something to do with the bus crash. Wow. Possibly in cahoots with Mr. Casablancas, who got the limo to take all the rich kids. Okay. Somehow it's going to be to feed into the class war in Neptune, that they're going to pin it on some PCHer or somebody, and then he's going to use that to campaign on.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly think he's shady, since last week he said he was running for mayor, this week he said he was running for county commissioner, next week he's going to be running for governor. So do not trust that guy. I do not know why you need Steve Guttenberg to have your one scene in your episode. So, 2 scenes. I guess he was on the baseball court. So I'm putting my chips on the table.
Okay.
I don't know whether the bus crashing into the ocean and killing almost everybody was on purpose or just an unfortunate accident, but they had something to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
And Keith's going to get all tied up in it, and I don't like it.
I did appreciate, just thinking too, the reason why Keith is running is not because Steve Guttenberg asked him to, but because he was in the office and Lamb was being horrible to the bus driver's daughter, who's trying to get the case reopened because they concluded that he had committed suicide. But that just made me think of the scene where Veronica was in the sheriff's office because she was trying to get some information, and Sheriff Lamb says, "You left Veronica Mars in a room alone." Like, finally somebody realized that you shouldn't do that.
That was wonderful. Yes. Yeah, I mean, he's doing it for pure of heart reasons, but nothing good can come of that.
Yeah, no, I agree with
nothing at all. Other things that nothing good can come of is I'm generally uninterested in the love lives of any of the young people on this show. I think that's the weakest part of the show. I think the writers don't know how to write it. I think that the noir and mystery elements are so much stronger. Mm-hmm. Do not care about Veronica and Duncan. I do not need to see any more, nighttime hotel booty calls with the two of them. Do not need to see any more naked time with Logan and Mrs. Casablancas. No, 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 no.
Yeah.
Can Neptune, do a chastity program or something?
And I still continue to not at all buy the fact that Mrs. Casablancas would be at all interested in Logan. Well,
I don't know. Based on what they were hearing in the hotel, maybe he's got some technique.
Also, here I am not a crackpot, but expensive hotels, you cannot hear through the walls like
that. You have some experience in this, do you?
Well, come on. I mean, that's just... I mean, if it was what's the Camelot or the one that's the cheap, crappy motel, then for sure. But it's the Neptune Grand. Come on. People expect a certain amount.
How grand could something in Neptune be, though? I guess they got rich people. So.
People expect a certain amount of discretion. Because, I mean, Logan was he heard every word they said, not just what they were doing, but he commented on what they were saying. Come on, that is just
that doesn't seem right. Maybe there's a hidden camera in the hotel rooms. Yeah, the scene where after he's narrowly escaped being caught with Mrs. Casablancas, and then Mr. Casablancas takes him out shooting. I felt are we supposed to think that Mr. Casablancas has an idea of what's going on and he wants to scare him? If Harry Hamlin was playing that part, it'd have been scary. The guy who's doing it, I can't tell.
Yeah. It
should have had the same kind of menace as Logan's dad driving Veronica home, where everything on the surface is absolutely fine, and yet you feel run, 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 run.
Right.
So, Logan, keep in your pants, man. Just get through your senior year in high school, will you? Mm-hmm. We don't really need to be a party to all of this.
Right.
Nothing good can come of this either.
Nope.
And probably nothing good can come of Veronica and Duncan. Just everybody take your corner.
We continue to advise.
Does every teen show have
therapy
to be about sex?
And what did you say? Chastity.
Chastity, yes. Chastity belts passed out to all the children. Things would be so much better off in Neptune. Oh my gosh.
Oh boy.
Steve Gutenberg should run on that platform. I'm on a platform of no sex for people under 21. None.
Terry would vote for him.
I would vote for him, even though I do not trust him.
That's right.
As far as I could throw him off a cliff. So, welp, on goes Veronica Mars. The next episode is called Cheatty Cheatty Bang Bang, which leads me to believe that my plea for Logan to not be naked with Mrs. Casablancas anymore will not be heeded.
Yeah. Sounds like something's gonna be found out, right?
Yep. So... And we will continue with World of Dance. Oh, World of Dance. Even when they're saying no and making children cry, it's so much more peaceful than Veronica Mars.
It certainly is.
I mean, it's still the feel-good show of our podcast. Mm-hmm. So we will be watching the episode that airs tonight as this particular podcast is dropped, June 23rd. It's the 5th episode with the callbacks. We assume they're actually going to deliver the callbacks, even though they teased them with us this time. And that is going to be it for our round 2 today. Please subscribe to our Parenting Roundabout podcast so you won't miss any of our episodes. We have something new for you every weekday. As always, you can find recaps, links, and an opportunity to comment on our website at parentingroundabout.com. Goodbye, Catherine.
Bye, Terry.
Goodbye, everybody.